Hello, students. Before starting our today's class, I want to talk to you for a minute. How are you all? I hope you are staying healthy, eating healthy, and right in right time. Also, try not to change your routine a lot during this lockdown period. Try to maintain the same schedule which you used to have in your regular days. I want you to get more time with your parents, spend more time with your parents. Try to ask them, try to know more about their childhood, their struggle during their school days and college days. This will help you a lot in comparing your childhood, your education period with them. And I'm very sure you will definitely learn and have a good experience hearing that. Try to do these small things because this time will never return back. Time never stops. This time will also pass. It will go away very soon. So let us utilize this time to the very best. What else you can do is try to explore your creativity to the next level. We all are artists, right? We all have some artistic skills. So let us develop that and polish it to the next level, because once you enter again into your schedule you will never get time what you really enjoy to do. So you are getting the time now. Nature has provided that time now. This will help you in some way to have a good balance between your classes which are going on right now and with your daily schedule. That's what I wanted to say you. Now let's get back to the class. We had started lesson number 13, organisms and populations, in the previous class. Here we learned about levels of organizations of the biotic components. Then we learned about the major biomes of the world. Then 5 major biomes of India. This can be asked in exam, like you have to list the biomes or list any two and give the name of the places. So you remember this. And then we learned about the structure of ecosystem, which is comprising of biotic and abiotic factors. And then we learned about the abiotic factors and how the abiotic factors affect the biotic components. Then we had learned about the responses of organisms to the fluctuating abiotic factors. This is called as homeostasis, and there are 3 categories of the organisms which show homeostasis, that is regulator, conformer, and partial regulator. This is again important. It can be a case based question, as a graph is there. Graph must be given and they will ask about what is the curve A, curve B, curve C, and what it is interpreting. Give an example, like that the question comes. Then we had learned about the adaptation which the animals have or plants have taken, which are not able to regulate their internal environment. Then we learned about the various adaptations. Around 8 adaptations we had learned in the previous class. Altitude sickness is again very important topic. Now today's topic is about population attributes. Population attributes are the determinants of the population. These are the factors which are determining the size, nature, and structure of the population. Population is defined as the total number of individuals of a species in a specific geographical area, sharing, competing for similar resources, which can interbreed under natural conditions to produce fertile offspring and function as a unit of biotic community. This we had learned in the previous class. What is a population? And the determinants, the factors which are determining the aspects of population, are called as population attributes. Now what are these attributes or characteristics of population? The first one is population density or its size. It is defined as number of individuals of a species, a particular species, per unit area or volume. it is denoted by PD, that is population density, number of individuals by number of unit area. The second attribute is birth or natality rate. It is defined as number of births per 1,000 individuals of a population per year. Now here how the question comes. If in a pond there are 20 lotus plants last year and through reproduction 8 new plants are added, taking the current population to 28, we calculate the birth rate as the 8 new lotus plants were introduced this year from the last year. So 8 by the population which was there in the last year 20, 8 by 20, which is 0.4 offspring per lotus per year. If 4 individuals in a laboratory population of 40 fruit flies died during a specific time interval, say a week, so the death rate in a population during that period becomes 4 by 40, that is 0.1 individuals per fruit fly per week. And this is called as mortality rate or death rate. Number of deaths per 1,000 individuals of a population per year. So you have to remember the two terms, natality, that is birth rate, and mortality rate, that is death rate. Then sex ratio, it is number of females per 1,000 males of a population in a given time. This is how the census is done and the gender ratio is taken out. Next topic is age pyramid. When the age distribution, that is percentage of individuals of a given age group, is plotted for the population, the resulting structure is called an age pyramid. The shape of the pyramids reflect the growth status of the population. So what is done in this is, first the population is divided into 3 age groups. क्या करते हैं इसमें एज ग्रुप्स को 3 कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड कर दिया है. क्या है ये 3 कैटेगरीज? First is the juvenile, the young stage, okay. Then the reproductive and senescent, that is post. तो इनको नाम कैसे किया है? प्री रिप्रोडक्टिव, रिप्रोडक्टिव एंड पोस्ट रिप्रोडक्टिव. एंड एक एरिया के, एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया के जब पॉपुलेशन का हम पिरामिड कंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं तो पहले वो पॉपुलेशन में क्या करना है, आपको जितने भी मेंबर्स हैं उनको पहले आपको कैटेगराइज कर देना है, सेग्रीगेट कर देना है प्री रिप्रोडक्टिव, रिप्रोडक्टिव एंड पोस्ट रिप्रोडक्टिव में. आफ्टर दैट द पिरामिड इज कंस्ट्रक्टेड. द बेस लेवल इज ऑलवेज ऑक्यूपाइड बाय द प्री रिप्रोडक्टिव एज ग्रुप एंड देन द रिप्रोडक्टिव एज ग्रुप, देन पोस्ट रिप्रोडक्टिव एज ग्रुप. तो जब इस तरह का पिरामिड हमें कंस्ट्रक्ट करने के बाद जो हमें स्ट्रक्चर मिलता है वो 3 तरह के हो सकते हैं. देयर कैन बी 3 टाइप्स, दैट इज़ एक्सपैंडिंग, स्टेबल एंड डिक्लाइनिंग. लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड दैट. एक्सपैंडिंग कब होगा? जब प्री रिप्रोडक्टिव इंडिविजुअल्स का जो एज ग्रुप है वो बहुत ज़्यादा लार्ज है एज़ कम्पेयर टू रिप्रोडक्टिव एंड पोस्ट रिप्रोडक्टिव. सो यू कैन सी इन द डायग्राम द बेस लेवल इज़ मोर एक्सपैंडेड. Number of pre-reproductive individuals is very large, reproductive individuals are moderate, and post-reproductive are very few. So population is growing. Why? Because the number of births is increasing, whereas the reproductive age group, जो reproductive age group में जो members हैं, that will be, okay, let us first see the ages, then it will be more easier for you to understand. Pre-reproductive age group हम कितना count कर सकते हैं? From the birth to 18 years, 18 or 19 years. Then reproductive we can take from 20 to 45 years, and the post reproductive, that is around after 45 or after 52 till death. So now it is more clear. That is why the expanding age pyramid is because the number of births is increasing and the pre-reproductive age group is increasing and it is more in number. That is why the base is expanding. Stable. In stable pyramid, population size remains stable, neither growing nor diminishing. All the age groups are evenly balanced. So this is a stable age pyramid. एक population जहाँ पे number of births जो है वो इक्विवेलेंट है या स्टेबल है एज कम्पेयर टू द रिप्रोडक्टिव एज ग्रुप मेंबर्स, एंड द डेथ रेट इज नॉर्मल. इट इज़ नॉट very low, it is not very high. The next one is declining. Population is declining or diminishing, showing negative growth. That means the pre-reproductive age group is less. The number of births are very less as compared to the existing member of the population. So did you understand age pyramid? It is again a case based question, 3-mark question. The diagram will be given, you have to interpret what it is, what the data is showing, or you can be asked to construct any one of these pyramids. It can be asked for expanding or stable, and you have to explain that. Is it clear? Now what is the significance of age pyramid? What is the need of studying this? This is because it indicates the ratio of pre-reproductive, reproductive and post-reproductive individuals in a population. So we understood what are the different determinants or factors of population, that is population attributes. Then we learned about the age pyramids, how the pyramids are constructed for a particular population in a given area in a given time. Now how the population growth is determined. The size of the population is not a static parameter, as it depends on food availability, predation pressure and weather. So all these factors are not making the population as a static parameter to read. It is not stagnant, it is fluctuating. For 1 year it will be some data, some density will be there. Maybe within 5 years it can decline, it can increase. Population density is the number of individuals or percent cover or biomass. What is biomass? That is the productivity, the total weight, you can say, of the productivity which the plants are producers, right? So the productivity is determined on the basis of the biomass or the organic matter which is synthesized by the plants. This we are going to learn in the coming chapters of this unit. So the same parameters we are going to read again. Natality, that is the number of births during a given period of time. It increases the population density. Okay, the number of births will add to the population density. So birth rate, which we learned about the lotus, that becomes 28 was the total population in the current year and 20 was in the previous year, so it becomes 0.4 per second. Then mortality, that is the number of deaths in a given time period, with the example which we discussed in the parameters. It decreases the population density as the number of deaths will subtract the numbers from the population. If 4 individuals out of 40 fruit flies died during a specific time interval, the death rate will be 4 by 40, that is 0.1 individuals per fruit fly per week. Now, the population growth is also determined by migration. Migration can have influx and outflux, means people can migrate out of the area or they can migrate into that particular area. So when the people are added in the particular area or habitat, it is called as immigration. And when they are moving out or they are going out of the population from that area, it is called as emigration. So these terms are sounding familiar to you. In airports we see the immigration counter, emigration counter, right? So these factors, natality, mortality, immigration and emigration, how they affect a population growth. Immigration and natality, they add to the existing population, whereas mortality and emigration, they subtract the numbers from the existing population. So population size can be determined by the sum of natality and immigration subtracted from mortality and emigration. So you can see the equation given here. NT equals to N naught plus B plus I, where B is birth, I is immigration, minus D plus E, death plus emigration. This equation shows that population density will increase if the number of births plus number of immigrants is more than number of deaths plus number of immigrants. डेथ और इमिग्रेंट्स का अगर नंबर कम होगा, बर्थ और इमिग्रेंट्स जो अंदर आ रहे हैं पॉपुलेशन के, तो फिर पॉपुलेशन का साइज इंक्रीज होगा, द पॉपुलेशन विल ग्रो. On that basis, the population growth is plotted on a graph, and two types of models are studied under population growth, and these two models are called as population growth models or the curves. There are two types. In this graph you can see both the types. I'll explain individually after this slide. You can see the A1, the red one, is called as J-shaped or exponential growth curve, and the blue color curved, the B curve, is called as logistic or sigmoid or S shape, as it is forming a S shaped structure, and this one is the J structure. A population growth model predicts the population of an organism that reproduces according to fixed rules. Depending on how many times an organism reproduces, how many new organisms it produces each time, and how often it reproduces, the model can predict what the population will be at a given time. If all these factors are known, then at a particular time what the population of that particular organism can be estimated through the population growth models. For most populations, there are growth limiting factors that reduce the theoretically possible population. ये सब क्या है? ये तो theoretical map work है, right? पर इतने सारे factors होते हैं. अभी जैसे हमने इस साल के लिए population का एक survey किया होगा और उसका एक census रखा होगा कि population increase will be that much %. But because of the corona outbreak, what happened? It went exactly opposite. So theoretical map working is different from the practical or growth limiting factors, just like the pandemic or any other ways. These include limited resources like natural death rates and predators. If we talk about insects or the animals in a forest, so predators तो अभी वो theoretically नहीं predate करेंगे ना, theoretically तो उनको नहीं hunt करेंगे, so that can be variable. Different types of population growth are subjected to these constraints and require different types of population models to accurately predict what the population will be in the future. So you can see the graph is plotted, population density, that is the particular population in a given area in the given time. It is plotted against the time, and we obtain this graph where K is the carrying capacity. Now what it is, we will learn next. So two types of curves we studied. The first one is exponential, second one is logistic. The exponential or geometric growth is common where the resources are unlimited. That means food, space and safety, all these things are endless, unlimited. So what will happen in that case? जहाँ खाना unlimited है, safety है, space है, जहाँ कितना भी population increase होता रहे, space उसके लिए वहाँ पे available है. So in that condition what will happen? The population will keep on growing in numbers, right? So this is called as exponential growth. Each species has the ability to realize fully its innate potential to grow in number. The equation for exponential growth can be, you can see the equation, and the integrated equation is NT equals to N naught E RT, where N equals to population size, NT is the population density after time T, N naught is population density at time 0, R is the intrinsic rate of natural increase. What is the rate of the natural increase, okay, in the given time. E is the base of natural logarithms. B is birth rate, D is death rate. So you have to remember this equation and what this equation means. The diagram graph can be given and you can be asked to give the equation and interpret the equation and what kind of growth, this kind of growth is seen in which organisms. Any example you have to explain. In exponential growth, where n is relation to time is plotted on graph, the curve becomes J-shaped. You can see the J-shape, it is growing exponentially, it is increasing. Why it is increasing? Ever increasing, because there is unlimited availability of food, space and safety, which is quite impossible in natural condition. Is it possible? अगर एक लेक है या फॉरेस्ट है, कहीं कोई भी एक नेचुरल एरिया है, वहाँ कभी ऐसा हो सकता है कि फूड अनलिमिटेड है, सेफ्टी अनलिमिटेड एंड स्पेस भरा हुआ है. जितने भी पॉपुलेशंस ऐड होते चले जाएंगे उतने के लिए स्पेस वहाँ पे अनलिमिटेड है. ये तो कभी हो ही नहीं सकता. सो दिस इज़ नॉट दैट रियलिस्टिक. द नेक्स्ट टाइप इज़ द लॉजिस्टिक ग्रोथ, which is a sigmoid S-shaped growth curve. It describes the self-limiting growth of a biological population. बायोलॉजिकल पॉपुलेशन, किसी भी ऑर्गेनिज्म का पॉपुलेशन का सेल्फ लिमिटिंग ग्रोथ, मतलब इन सब कंस्ट्रेंट्स के साथ, इन सब लिमिटिंग फैक्टर्स के साथ भी कैसे पॉपुलेशन का ग्रोथ एक हो रहा है उसको डिटरमाइन करता है ये वाला ग्रोथ कर्व. The resources become limited at certain point of time. Of course, when the population keeps on increasing, resources will reduce. So, no population can grow exponentially. This growth model is more realistic. Every ecosystem or environment or habitat has limited resources to support a particular maximum number of individuals. उसके beyond पॉपुलेशन एवर इंक्रीजिंग नहीं हो सकता. क्यों? क्योंकि उसका कैरिंग कैपेसिटी ही उतना है, उतने ही रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल हैं, उतने पॉपुलेशन को, उतने ऑर्गेनिजम्स नंबर्स को एकोमोडेट करने के लिए, उनके ग्रोथ को सपोर्ट करने के लिए. एंड दिस कैपेसिटी इज़ कॉल्ड एज कैरिंग कैपेसिटी एंड इट इज़ डिनोटेड बाय K. When n is plotted in relation to time t, the logistic growth shows sigmoid curve and is called Verhulst-Pearl logistic growth. These are the two biologists who had given this curve. Verhulst had studied and proposed this curve in the year 1838, whereas Pearl rediscovered the same growth curve in 1920. So you can see the curve. The initial growth is quite slow. Right, it is very low and this phase is called as lag phase, and after a certain time the population starts increasing exponentially, that is acceleration phase. Then at certain point it again stops, it doesn't stop, it starts reducing. This is called as deceleration, and there comes a time where it becomes equilibrium, it becomes stagnant, it is not growing beyond that. Why? Because the K factor, the carrying capacity, is limited to that amount or that number of the population size. It is denoted by the equation dn by dt equals to Rn K minus n by K, where K is the carrying capacity, the total number of individuals an environment can hold. Graph shows lag phase followed by the phases of acceleration and deceleration, and finally an asymptote when population density reaches the carrying capacity. Now today's question is, you have to tell me how the asymptote has achieved in this and what is the meaning of this term. So we learned about the attributes of population and how the age pyramids can be constructed for a given population, where we can compare, we can find out the ratio between the juvenile, reproductive and old age groups. So all these populations, as it is increasing, it is modified, it is having lots of variations in it. So how the evolution of all the populations has occurred, that we have to understand on the basis of the population growth in life history variation. Darwinian fitness refers to the populations where they evolve to maximize their reproductive fitness, that is high R value, that is the intrinsic rate of natural increase. Under selection pressures, organisms evolve towards the most efficient reproductive strategy. They evolve when they attain the most efficient reproductive strategy that is required. Why? Because they are evolving, they are changing themselves, they are adapting some new features for continuing their populations. The rate of breeding varies from species to species. So the breeding rate, the reproductive rate cannot be constant or cannot be same for all the species, as some organisms breed once in their lifetime, like Pacific salmon fish and bamboo, while others breed many times during their lifetime. Like birds, mammals, they breed, they reproduce their offsprings many times. Some organisms produce a large number of small sized offsprings, like oysters, while others produce a small number of large sized offsprings, like birds and mammals or other animals also. कुछ organisms हैं जो कि मिलियंस ऑफ नंबर्स में ऑफस्प्रिंग्स प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, बट उनका साइज जो होता है बहुत छोटा होता है. पर कुछ ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं जो कि बहुत ही कम नंबर में ऑफस्प्रिंग्स प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, बट लार्ज साइज्ड ऑफस्प्रिंग्स प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. Ecologists suggest that their life history traits of organisms have evolved in relation to the constraints imposed by the abiotic and biotic components of the habitat in which they live. So इनका ये जो reproductive evolution है अपने populations को sustain करने के लिए generations after generations, जो भी adaptability वो अपने अंदर लाते हैं, जो भी changes अपने अंदर लाते हैं, और इन सारे constraints मीन्स सारे limiting factors को भी oppose करके, तो वो develop हुआ है बायोटिक एंड बायोटिक फैक्टर्स के साथ interact करके उस habitat में. So did you understand the chapter, the topic? I hope it is easier for you now to understand, and you can send me your questions. Thank you.